Welcome to this highly anticipated webinar on leveraging Flutter front-end to develop domain-specific MVPs. I am Tanishka, and on the behalf of entire Walking Tree team, I extend a warm welcome to all of you here. It is a pleasure to have all of you here with us today. Before we dive into today's agenda, let's take a moment to greet those who are still joining. Welcome everyone. It is a pleasure to have all of you here. For those who are unfamiliar with the Walking Tree, let me provide a brief introduction. Walking Tree takes immense pride in our unceasing commitment to technology-driven innovation. Our expertise lies in conceptualizing and executing cutting-edge web and mobile applications across various platforms. We are more than just a company. We are a collective of forward thinkers dedicated to seamless system integrations and propelling digital transformation initiatives. Our core, uh, our core strengths revolve around advanced data analytics, integrations, and the modernization of legacy systems onto high performance platforms. We offer a comprehensive suite of business intelligence solutions tailored to diverse domains, empowering businesses with enhanced agility and efficiency. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to our esteemed speakers for today's session. First, introducing Funny, an esteemed principal architect whose visionary leadership and architectural expertise are vital to our discussion on harnessing Flutter's front-end capabilities for tailored MVP development. With a career dedicated to innovative architecture, Funny aligns perfectly with our webinar's core theme. As a principal architect, he shapes architectural landscapes to meet the unique demands of MVP development using Flutter, making his insights invaluable for today's topic. Please welcome Funny, a key contributor to exploration of Flutter's front-end capabilities. Next, we have Amita Suri, a dynamic technology evangelist renowned for her unwavering commitment to pioneering tech advancements. With a passion for innovation, Amita bridges the gap between cutting-edge technology and practical applications. Her ability to distill complex concepts into accessible insights makes her an incredible speaker and mentor. As a technology evangelist, she inspires us to explore Flutter's front-end capabilities for creating tailored MVPs, promising invaluable insights for today's discussion. Join us in welcoming Amita Suri, a driving force in the ever-evolving technology landscape. In our webinar, we'll embark on a journey to explore a pivotal concept of MVP in product lifecycle, shedding light on its significance and how it drives innovation. We'll then pivot our focus to the incredible capabilities that Flutter offers for the MVP development, emphasizing its role in rapid prototyping and reducing time to market. Furthermore, we'll unveil the extensive scope of customizations achievable with Flutter UI widgets, showcasing how these tools empower developers to craft tailored user experiences. Throughout the session, we'll exemplify domain-specific MVP development with Flutter, illustrating real-world scenarios where this versatile framework can be leveraged to create impactful solutions. Our aim is to equip you with an actionable insight and practical strategies that will enable you to excel the realm of MVP development using Flutter. For the end of the webinar, we have allocated time for addressing your questions and insights. I encourage you to submit your queries in the Q&A box that is provided throughout the sessions. And let's harness this collective intelligence for our audience today to foster enriching and interactive discussion. We eagerly wait your active participation.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks, Tanishka, for your quick introduction. Thanks a lot. Hello everyone. Good evening, good morning. So, as Tanishka has already says about the agenda that we're talking about today, Flutter MVP and domain-specific MVP with Flutter. So, to start the session, I'll start with understanding the MVP and product lifecycle. And I guess in this session, everybody understands MVP, the abbreviation of MVP, minimum viable product. That is nothing but the, if we talk in terms of a software application or software product, the minimum viable features that should be implemented to call it as a product, to give so that your end customers or end users can still utilize the application to run the business, basically. Now, let's understand what is the importance of MVP in product lifecycle. And before that, let's understand what is a product lifecycle. I've tried to illustrate the chart here. As you can see, the Flutter lifecycle has product lifecycle has 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Right. So basically, to understand very high level, if we get into details, introduction is like, the initial phase where you think about, you come up with a brilliant idea, a product idea, where, like, for example, for this session, by use case, we thought about a idea of online pharmacy. Let's say my idea is, I myself think like product online pharmacy is a brilliant idea, which is of course not in the today's world because there are already too many online pharmacy businesses. But just for the illustration case, okay. So now I think about my idea, come up with a brilliant idea, think about how it can make money and how I can serve the customers and what are the different entities or the components that I need to start this business. Right, and then validating the next within the introduction, the next step in the introduction phase of a product life cycle is, once you have an idea, validate this idea again as a market. Like, okay, you want to do online pharmacy, so what is the feasibility of doing it, and how many of the customers or the actual customers can use your application, and how easy or what are the benefits that you're giving to your customers rather than going to a physical pharmacy, right? In this validation, you'll talk about the business use cases where, customer will come to my online pharmacy store because going physically to the physical pharmacy store will have certain constraints like the geolocation barriers, physical stock unavailability or prices, and data privacy, XYZ. So within all these validations, if your idea passes through the validation phase, which means have an idea, you have validated it, that the idea is good, it can generate money, it can acquire customers, and you can produce business out of it, and you can make money out of this business. Now plan the business. How do you do it? Now, to do this online pharmacy, you need operations team where you want a delivery network, you want suppliers, you want warehouses, you want medical experts who can review the prescriptions or suggest these things. And along with that, you need a online application, software application, maybe a mobile application and a web application where end users can directly log in and order the medicines. Now, to replicate the physical medicine ordering, we want to have like, basically, if you think about what are the complete features of an application that we have to develop to get this business done is like, you want to have e-commerce kind of product catalog, that is medicine catalog, login, logout, search capability, register, medicine, prescription reading, identifying the medicines, and workflow of validation, orders, invoice, payments, order tracking, shipment tracking, feedbacks, right? And reminders. There's a whole lot of features if you want to get a product done. Now, this is the complete set of features that you need to build a product. Now, if you want to build this product completely and then go to the market as an online pharmacy, you will be like, at least it takes a year, 2 or 3 years to develop this complete product. If you wait for this 2 to 3 years to build this product and then go to launch your business, then definitely there will be competitors coming in, because we are not only the persons who are thinking about this kind of innovative ideas. There are a good number of innovators and entrepreneurs out in the market who might be thinking about the same idea or a similar idea, who can launch their product before you, and they can capture your market as well, right? To avoid that, and to avoid that, you may want to find out something simpler version of a product using which you can reach out to your customers and see how your product is or your business is performing, basically. Okay, there are multiple factors that you want to validate with this minimum set of features. That is nothing but the MVP, minimum viable product, which can hit the market. That is like, one is shorter market time, two is you want to incrementally validate and build your product based on the feedback that you're getting from the users, right? And your product development will go in a right path based on the feedbacks that you're getting from the customers, and your product, whatever you are building, will be real time or up to date into the changing market. Because if you build the whole product in 2 years, where you are nowhere in real time with the market, and after 2 years, when you try to launch a product into the market, you will come to know that now the market is not the way it was 2 years back when we prepared the requirements, maybe, right? So to avoid all this and to produce, to get into the market in a shorter time, faster to the market and validate your product idea, MVP comes into place in this introduction phase, where you identify the minimum viable features that you want to implement and produce, develop a product and release it to the market, launch it to the market. Now, once this product is built and released, MVP is built and released, obviously your operations and risk, everything should be taken care. Then the next phase comes to the growth phase, where in this process, like when you release MVP, your customers, you reach out to the customers start using your product, right? You'll have a feedback, and when you compare with other products, or when you run your business on the ground, you'll identify new features that needs to be enhanced and that needs to be added, or the plans that you already have. Or instead of the new features, you may get a feedback that the certain additions to the existing MVP would increase the number of users that you are targeting. So this is how daily, not daily, but release by release, you'll plan the new enhancements, or the new enhancements to your product. That's how your user base will increase, the growth of the overall product, and the business will grow in the growth phase. Now, with this growth, release by release, after a certain time, you reach at a maturity level, matured product, where you have all the features. With this matured product will have a certain lifespan depending on the domain, basically. So after certain lifetime, after certain span, this matured product may go into the decline phase, depending on, again, your idea might be very old. Like 10 years back, this idea was very good. Like, for example, the example I've taken, online pharmacy. 10 years back, it was really an innovative idea. 10, 15 years back now, but you have a lot of competitors today. You may want to, unless you add something new into the product, some new additional capabilities to the product and the business, your product may not continue gaining the growth in terms of customer acquisition or the revenue, right? So that last comes after the message state, the last state comes as a decline state, where your original idea is going to reduce in terms of producing the customers and as well as the revenue to the business. That's where the phase you can do three things. One is keep updating your product with the new features, meaning new capabilities, new services to the customers. If the software product, adding new features to the product, or kill the product and come up with a new idea completely, or reboot the product, meaning regenerate the product idea by adding different flavor to it, or doing the same thing but in a different style altogether, where you can still capture the user base. So this is the overall life cycle of a product, and in this overall life cycle, you see the starting phase is MVP, right? That's what the importance of MVP. Whatever the MVP that you are going to build, right? With this MVP, your product will live with this MVP, or your product journey will start with this MVP. Having said that, now the example that we have taken about online pharmacy, upcoming slides, Anita will explain, help us understand how we can build this MVPs, like taking this example of online pharmacy, how we can leverage on the Flutter capabilities to build this kind of MVP, especially front-end part. But complete MVP involves back-end everything. But as part of this session, we'll be focusing on the front-end, like which, let's say, this MVP we want to cover. We want to target the devices like mobiles, web, and desktop applications. Let's say. I'll hand over it to Amita. Amita, please carry on.
Good evening, everyone. So let's first have a quick overview of Flutter. Flutter is Google's free and open source UI toolkit that uses the Dart programming language. It uses the 2D Skia engine, which is actually being used by Android, Chrome, and Firefox, and a few other platforms. So, and this Skia engine, it is built on top of C++. So therefore, application written in Flutter can be compiled to any platform. So because of it, the application that is written in Flutter, same application, same code base can be used on iOS and Android devices, and it can also be used for web and desktop. Having said that, Flutter has a big Flutter active community. So that is also there, and Flutter provides very good documentation. So that was an overview of Flutter. Now, capabilities of Flutter for MVP development. Flutter, as I said, we can create cross-platform applications with Flutter. So once we write a code, then that same code base can run on different platforms. The platforms that are supported: iOS, Linux, macOS, web, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and Windows. So these are the platforms that are supported. Now, if we are developing an application and same code base we are running on different platforms, that is very cost effective. Plus, since the developers need not know the specific, they need not have specific knowledge about Android working. So this definitely is cost effective in terms of cost effective, and also saves time and resources. Flutter framework provides a hot reload feature. So which means that when we are developing our application and we make few UI changes, then we don't have to refresh the whole application. So if we use the hot reload feature, it will integrate those changes into the running application, and we can see the changes in the UI. So that's very good. If we are developing our MVPs, then this can speed up the development work. Flutter comes with rich library of customizable widgets. It comes with two libraries, Cupertino and Material. So Cupertino is very specific to iOS devices, and material can be used on Android, Chrome, and other platforms. So with this rich library of customizable widgets, we can create UIs that are very appealing and professional, so they can give very professional look to your MVPs. Flutter also has a rich ecosystem of third-party plugins and packages, so which can enhance the functionality of our application. So we can find them at pub.dev. Flutter widgets are also responsive, and they can adapt to different platforms. So with one code base, making the applications responsive and adaptive, the same code base can work on different platforms. Even the orientation changes from landscape to portrait, they are very simple to handle with a Flutter application. So for example, for responsiveness and adaptiveness, here we can check that if it is a web application, then we can show a completely different view of the login form. And if it is not web app, then we can show the login mobile form, like a different view for the mobile phone, a login form. So just by using a simple ternary or with if, we can check the platform and specify the task that we want to do for Android specific Android devices or iOS devices or any other platform. Multiple platforms are supported. So this is one way of doing it. Another thing is, like suppose we want the text to be in different font sizes or any other widget like text field of different width, etc. Then we can use the media query. With media query, we can find the size of the device. We can find the width and the height. And based on that, we can specify how much screen space or how much font size the text should take, or how much screen width the text field should take, or same other widget, Flutter widget. Flutter also comes with different these widgets, which are specially meant for responsive design. The layout builder, the orientation builder, expanded, and all these widgets, we can use them for responsiveness. Orientation builder, especially for when the device orientation changes. So lots of good features are there in Flutter, which can help us create responsive applications if we are targeting, if our MVP is targeting users who are of different multiple platforms. So like what I told before, we can create this form, for example, for the web, and this one for the mobile screen. And just by one if, we can render either this one or this one, and it will automatically detect which platform our app is running on, and it will render the respective widget. So apart from that, Flutter also offers very easy integration with device features like camera, gallery, location, maps, etc. So, if your MVP needs to use the device features, then just with the simple plugin, very easily these device features can be used in our MVPs. Integration with Firebase to reduce the resource cost. So if our application allows, then we can go for Firebase as a backend. If it is possible, then we can go for Firebase as a backend, and which will definitely reduce the cost of developing the backend infrastructure. Good documentation and active developer community is there, where we can find solutions to our answers and speed up our development task. Rapid prototyping techniques in Flutter. We can use the two pre-built Flutter widget libraries shipped with Flutter to create the UIs repeatedly. So we don't have to use CSS for designing our widgets. So widget libraries are there, and very easily we can use them, and Cupertino or Material widget libraries, depending upon which device we are targeting. And if more functionality is needed, we can of course go to pub.dev and use the packages. And for reusability, we can create custom widgets for common UI elements and use them throughout the application. So we can avoid repetition of code to speed up the task. So for example, here in this slide, suppose we want an icon and below the icon, we want some text. So we can create this widget, and once this widget is created, we can use this same, we can call the constructor in different parts of the application, and this reusable widget can be used. So this saves time. And for state management, Flutter comes with provider different packages. So provider, Riverpod, these are very simple, easy to use state management tools, which we can use in our application. So rather than going for block, which is for large complex applications, for MVPs, we can use one of these state management packages. And then we can use some placeholder content to simulate the user experience, or we can integrate with Firebase for quick authentication and database capabilities. That is also possible if our MVP can use these. Now, Flutter also gives us some dev tools, just like Chrome dev tools and Flutter inspector and debugger. So these we can use to check our bugs and correct them. So they are very, very handy. Dartpad is a tool which we can use for testing small code snippets, Dart snippets, and also checking small widgets, simple widgets. Once they are done, once they are working properly, we can come and then add them to our main project. And there is a tool called Flutter Flow, which we can use for low-code applications. So for rapid prototyping, for MVPs, we can use Flutter Flow also. So let's have a quick look at these things. So first, Flutter widgets. Here at this link, we can see the widgets that are available in Flutter. So for example, let's have a look at this alert dialog. This is for the material, this is a material app widget. So this is how it looks. And then we have this align widget when we want to align specific widget at different parts of the screen, like for example, top corner or bottom corner or center or somewhere we can go for the align widget. So for animation, Flutter has given us these different widgets which can be used for creating custom animations applications. The app bar, aspect ratio widget. So this is good for responsive design. We can give the aspect ratio based on which this widget will be rendered. And if we go below, we see the Cupertino widgets also here. And this is the Cupertino alert dialog. So we have alert dialog for material also and for Cupertino also. And you can see the difference in the two alert boxes, dialog boxes. So this gives a good user experience if the user is working on iOS or Android devices. So with simple if, we can check that if the platform is iOS, then render this alert dialog, otherwise render the other alert dialog. So very simply, we can create our application, give good user experience to our users. Now, coming to Flutter Flow, this is a visual drag and drop tool. It is built on top of Flutter. We can sign in and come here, create a new application. We have these templates available. So we can search for the template that fits our needs. So like for example, or if nothing is suitable for us, we can also create a blank, application and then start on top of it. Or we can select something from the template. So for example, I have selected this one. Since we are talking about pharma, so I've selected this one. So I've run it, and this is how the template looks like. So it has these pages. We can, it is integrated with Firebase. We can register screen, login screen. So we can continue as a guest. So let's have a quick look at what it's offering. So For example, this is another page where we can, all these phone, device phone, etc. These device features have been used. This is another screen where we can schedule the appointments with the doctor. So this is what it is offering. So in Flutter Flow, we can select from the already existing templates, or we can create a new one. So a good tool to create very fast, cost-effective MVPs. So it will save resources and save time. Now, so now coming to scope of customization with Flutter widgets, we can very easily style our widgets. So for example, the text widget here, it has the style property, and we can give it a different font size, font weight, color, and lots of other features. So if we have to make our application responsive, then rather than hard coding the font size or the font weight, we can use the media query, and based on media query, the screen width and height, we can render a dynamic font size here. That is possible. So styling is very simple. Or we can, if we want to brand our MVP, for branding our MVP, we can create our own theme also. So once the theme is created, we can use the same theme to style different widgets throughout the application. We can create custom layouts. So we have lots of layouts available provided by Flutter, but if something is not suiting our need, then we can combine those layouts and we can create our own custom layouts. We can create custom widgets also. So like I showed in a previous slide, one of the previous slides. So we can create custom widgets. Flutter widgets are declarative, so it is very easy to compose them and create new widgets. And once a widget has been created, we can reuse it throughout the application. Flutter also provides, as we have seen, some animation widgets are also provided. We can use those widgets and we can create custom animations for our widgets. Plus, animations package is also there, and we can use this animation package to have effects like fade, fade through, etc. So both ways we can animate our widgets. If your MVP is targeting people with some disability, then Flutter widgets by default they support the screen readers. You don't have to do anything. There's if person has enabled accessibility feature in his mobile device, then Flutter app widgets will automatically screen readers will automatically be reading the widgets, the labels that are specified in the widgets. And plus, apart from that, we can specify the text scale factor also. So if user changes the font size in his device, then if we have given the text scale factor, automatically our text widgets, the font size will scale accordingly. And we can, when we are building our application, we must be careful that we are giving a good contrast for foreground and background. If your MVP is targeting people from different countries, then Flutter provides this internationalization and localization feature also. By default, US English is supported, but we can use Flutter localizations package and Intel package. And so by using these packages, we'll get a support for 113 languages. So that was all about Flutter. Now coming to testing the Flutter applications, we can do unit testing and widget testing. Unit testing for the functionality, and for that, we can use the test package. And for adding the mock data, we can use the Mockito package. Widget testing, for checking a single widget, we can use the Flutter test package. So this is testing packages are also there in Flutter. That was all from my side, Funny. Please.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Amita. Thanks for taking us through the capabilities of Flutter, especially the Flutter Flow package, concept, dev, and the widget libraries. So far, Abhilash has, sorry, Amita has explained us like how to fasten or do a rapid development of the MVPs using the Flutter capabilities that she has taken us through so far. So once the testing is done, I mean, as Abhilash already said, like unit testing is one of the mandatory steps in the development lifecycle, which helps you to make your product app or product more robust, right? Now, once this is after testing is done, be it a unit testing or the solution testing, the solution testing, the regression test cases or automation test scripts, right? Once that is done, the last step of the development life cycle in product development is deployment. So you developed the product, you've tested it, and everything is fine. Now you have to deploy it for the users, right? And as discussed in the MVP, we are targeting like as Flutter, we are targeting all the platforms that Flutter supports, like mobile, web, and desktop. Now the multiple platforms, like in mobile, we have iOS and Android at least. Windows is again Windows and Chrome OS. They are different, but right now Android and iOS are heavily used. And coming to web, you have again, I mean, deployment for web is same, but again, different browsers you need to consider. And the desktop, in the desktop, major three flavors that we need to consider is Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Now, how do we deploy to these platforms? Like for Google Play, we have Android, for Android device, we have a Google Play Store where we build the APK out of the Flutter code and upload it to the Google Play Store. And for iOS, we have Apple App Store where we package our code using Xcode, where the Flutter generates all the required Xcode and Android related properties or the artifacts. You just need to load the project and apply all the respective certificates. Then you're good to generate an APK and IPA files for Android and iOS respectively and publish into the respective stores. And the next one is web deployment. So web deployment is, as you know, like any other JavaScript framework or static web application, static HTML pages. One of the servers you just need to build, which will give you a distribution files, where the distribution files should be deployed in an accessible server like Firebase, Netty, GitHub IO, or Apache server, any of this, which is seamless, right? And another important thing is about desktop deployment. So as we discussed, desktop has multiple flavors, Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So we have different tools to be used to package your Flutter code for a native application. For Windows, MSIX tool, which will help you to, generate an installer as well as a native Android shell to run your Flutter code. And Xcode is again same for iOS mobile as well as Mac OS machines also. All you need is the respective certificates here, the developer account, Apple developer account with respective certificates. And Linux, there are tools like Snapcart, LXD Container Manager. These are the different tools that should be used to, package the application. Now, we talked about what are the different platforms and what are the tools to be used to deploy. Now we should talk about the next thing is you created the bundles. Now about deployment, real deployment part. There you need to identify what are the deployment strategies. Moving on to the next slide. Deployment strategies. Here I have highlighted only the two popular deployment strategies, blue-green deployment and canary deployment. So here, these deployment strategies are mostly applicable for, backend applications like server-side applications, and canary applies to, in a way, both of them can be applied to server-side and as well as app and web applications as well. So to be on short, like blue-green deployment is like, MVP phase 1 you have developed and released. Now you have MVP phase 2 or release 2, where blue-green deployment is like you have the version 1, phase 1 already running and available to the users, you place version 2 as well. So both of them would be running parallelly, and you'll give a different option to access both of them. So that like existing users who are already used to existing behavior of your application or the features of your application, they can still use the earlier version, and new features, whoever want to use the new features, they can switch to the new version. And slowly when your older version release gets down, usage gets down, you can remove it, or it can automatically go down. And canary release is like you want to release your updated versions to certain set of users. I mean, stage by stage. Let's say you have 1 million users, you want to give 10,000 users of first version. I mean, second version, maybe like a pilot or a beta version, so that your beta users or the beta testers can test the application, and if everything goes well, then you can publish it to the rest of all the users as well. Be it a backend or in your Play Store or App Store, you find these options to choose this stage releases. And when you're talking about specific to app updates, like for example, the Android iOS and desktop applications, we might have to handle this on the air, over the air updates, which updates the app's code, I mean the latest code seamlessly without user going back to App Store or downloading something from the Linux store or Ubuntu store or iOS store or Apple store. Whenever there is an update, you can from the server we'll be able to push the updated code to the server using this over the air updates. Right. So this is all about deployment. Now we also talked about version 2, version 1, version 2, right? So how do we manage this? Moving on to the next topic, continuous integration, continuous improvement. So as we said, like as a business, the product continuously improves, right? These improvements have to be managed well so that your product really grows smoothly. When we talk about, especially about this code, continuous improvement contains the CI/CD process, which is a software development practice. So, that involves testing, deployment of code changes, the repetitive task for every phase that you see. Like for phase 1, you have to do coding, testing, right? Unit testing, solution testing, build, deployment. For every phase, you have to do the same, but you have to make sure that phase 1 features are not disturbed in phase 2, right? How we will do that? By testing. So instead of involving manual effort, the CI/CD process will help you to automate most of the repetitive tasks to fasten your development, rapid development of the product. Now, CI/CD, as you see, these are two different terms. Now, if you see about CI, it is continuous integration, which will focus on integrating the new code changes into the the existing repository or the existing release or existing product, right? For Flutter or any development, it is about regularly merging the code changes from various developers. For your app development or application development, you'll have multiple teams, allowing them to merge, and then the merging certain practices to be handled, like you want to have static code validation, like linting, formatting, linting, basic unit test success criteria, right? Those things. No, we are still in above. No, continuous integration. Slide number 38. One. Yeah. So that's about continuous integration. Then about continuous delivery or a deployment, we can call it as. Both are almost the same, which ensures like delivery can be segregated, saying that you have always a code that is replicating the production version, that is running on live, right? It makes sure that the code you have is can be deployed, can be deployable, meaning the code that you have into your main branch or the main repository is well tested and validated so that it can be pushed to production at any point. And continuous deployment, as we already talked about, it automatically, automating the repetitive task and getting this deployment taken care of. Right. The CI/CD pipeline that we are talking about, like as already discussed. It has certain components like code compilation, I did not mention here, but this linting and static reviews, and then automated testing in terms of unit testing or the automation, QA automation test case execution, and deploying it to the various environments. Like, here you can consider various environments like QA, staging, live, or this one also, like again, the different platforms, even that can be automated, like deploy to Android, iOS, desktop, Windows, Linux, and the benefits of the CI/CD that we should think about is like the faster development life cycles, the repetitive tasks which you have to do manually every time can be cut down by this automated process, which also ensures that your code quality is good by doing this validations of linting basis, static code validations, and executing this test cases. And reduce manual errors because everything is automated, so manual intervention would be less, so manual errors can be reduced a lot. And then, once all this is done, your code is consistent, predictable, and deployable all the time. And using this CI/CD, the over-the-air updates can also be managed because it is also a process where once a deployment is and once your build is ready, it's about adding it a new release or making it an update to the over-the-air update to the Android or iOS or the desktop devices. So that can also be automated using the CI/CD processes. The challenges that we may face when we are doing this CI/CD automation, like basically we missed discussing about the tools. The tools that which can be used to automate the CI continuous integration and continuous deployment delivery processes. Like there are the popular tools that we can use is Jenkins, Travis CI, Circle CI, and Bitbucket, Bamboo is there, and GitHub Actions are also. Like these are the popular tools which, like most of the templates are there. It's about identifying the proper template that suits for your application and configuring that and getting it working. And but when you're doing this, the challenge is one major challenge that we should think about is because your deployment, like if it's the backend, you have to deploy the code to your servers, production database updates, and Apple Store certificates, iOS, Android keys, JKs, T keys, and the keys that are used to bundling the Windows Linux tools. Right? These secrets should be configured well in the CI/CD tools, and the CI/CD tools running should also be in a proper secure environment so that your keys are not lost or not falling into unusable users, so that somebody can misuse that, for hacking or something. So that's one challenge that we need to be very careful when we are using this CI/CD tools. Right. Now we talked about, in the repetitive process, we talked about development, deployment, and this overall managing cycle through the CI/CD process. The next comes in this continuous improvement, analytics and monitoring plays key role. What is analytics and monitoring is like we discussed, right? MVP will eventually evolve into a complete product, and in this evaluation phase, apart from the predefined features that you want to add, you will also want to understand the user's behavior. You will also understand the trending market changes or what user is expecting in your product, right? Understand that and incorporate those changes as well, those features or the changes as well into your product, so that your product becomes more and more usable, right? So, how this analytics and monitoring will help is what are the key metrics that we need to track to take those informed decisions. Is you may need to track the user engagement, where like monitor the active users, how many active users, like at what time, the heavy usage time, less usage time, sessions, the retention rates, how many of them are repeating this data. And performance of the app is also a key factor which you need to understand, like how speed or how well my app is performing. Is it speedy or low, slow? It's catching to the according to the user speedy or not. that what is the crash rate of the app, and let's say 100 users are using, and how many users are facing these crashes, right? And what is the error rate? Is it less or more, which is concerning the actual users, right? And also the conversion rate, which is like, conversion rate will come from more of a, the data that you capture from the user engagement. You would, the business intelligence will be applied on top of it, which will help you to understand what is the conversion rate. Meaning, in our MVP case, in the example that we're talking about, conversion rate could be, how many people are really after apply, how many people are coming to uploading a prescription, and how many of them are really booking the order. Like, let's say 100 people are visiting till uploading a prescription, and when they look at the order, and only 80% people are placing an order. So meaning my conversion rate is 80. So you need to think about how to increase or increase this conversion rate from 80 to 90 or 95, right? So because this is eventually your business. This is the major key factor, right? This unless this improves, your business will not sustain, right? So performance monitoring, we said, like, again, speed of the app, responsive, the tools that we can use for performance monitoring is like one of the key thing, at least specific to Flutter, or well integrated with Flutter, is Firebase performance monitoring, which will give you more well integrated data. And crash reporting, the tool that you can use is again with Flutter Firebase Crashlytics is a very well integrated tool which can help you get the crash related data, the number of crashes and the reason for crashes, different sort of analytics already available there. And to capture this key metrics, analytics like user behavior and etc., the tools that can be, or the frameworks that we can use within Flutter are like Google Analytics and Firebase Analytics are something like out of the box, well integrated. Amplitude, Mixpanel are also like, we have plugins which can integrate well, and we can also build our custom solutions of this analytics, like a lot of open source analytics tools like telemetry, Sunbird telemetry or something. This kind of tools where we can build our own and also integrate. That's not a good one. Okay. And on top of this data, what we do with this data? Moving on to the next slide. What do we collected the data, we used these tools and collected the data. Now we have to understand from this collected data, we need to analyze the user behavior, like build the navigation paths from the collected data, how user is navigating, what are the most used features, and what are the major drop-off points, like what if you have 10 screens, 8 screen, or let's say, suggestion screen, or suggested medicine screen is the drop-off point, maybe example. To identify that, which will help you to identify what we can do to improve the usage of it, something like. How will you get this, get to know this data? Is once you analyze this behavior and build a real-time dashboards on top of it, which will give you a visualization on this, the analysis, user behavior analysis, the Crashlytics analysis that has been done so far, right? And then apart from this using these analytic tools, capturing the data and then building real-time dashboards, which will help you to obviously do that. Do a better analysis to take an informed decision. The feedback loops is also an important thing, where within your app you provide option to give a feedback with a very easy. If giving a feedback, if user want to give feedback, it should be a very easy process for a user to do it. Like, it should be an eye-catchy icon should be available all the time. Whenever the user want to just give a feedback, it's in one click, he should be able to, he or she should be able to type a feedback and give us. So taking that feedbacks and contacting the customer on those feedbacks, right, will help you to interact with the customers more, understand the customer behavior, or what is the expectation from the customer more, which will again help you to take informed improvements or informed decisions on how to improve the product and the business to. So with this completes the overall cycle of this MVP development, MVP to product evaluation with the Flutter, whatever we discussed. just to summarize, moving on, Amita, move on to the slide. Yeah, security and data privacy, continuous optimization. I missed this point, sorry. So when we are capturing this data, we should be sure that we are not breaching the data privacy guidelines, right? Data privacy regulations, so that users they should be as transparent as possible, so that users can trust our system. We should be capturing only the required data to analyze our user behavior and analyze our business growth, not the user privacy data. And continuous optimization, again, continuously optimize your Flutter app based on that's what we're talking as optimization or improvement, that I can say. Based on the data that is produced, we take an informed decisions to optimize in terms of performance and improve in terms of features of your product, which can help improve the business. Sorry for that. This was the missing piece. But with this, the completing the analytics and monitoring part, we have completed overall the product life cycle from MVP. Product life cycle with MVP, leveraging the Flutter capabilities. We talked about understood what is MVP, what is a product life cycle, where MVP fits in product life cycle, why it is important, and understood the Flutter capabilities, right? Develop a Flutter MVP in Flutter, and then we talked about CI/CD reporting and monitoring deployments, etc. With that, I'll conclude this session, sharing this useful resources that we have been following. Definitely, to build this MVPs or to learn, make yourself more comfortable with MVPs, you can go through the Flutter docs, widget. Almost all this Amita has already shown us in the while she was demonstrating, while she was taking the session on the previous slides. So Flutter Flow is basically one of the good tools that we can use to fasten our development. Having said that, I'll conclude this session. Open for any Q&A.
Yes, Funny. We have received 3 questions from our attendees. So the first being, Flutter without exposure to vast majority JavaScript-based tools best suits startup or small enterprise apps. Is this true? Is this right?
Sorry, can you allow me to see that? I'm not able to see this in the question answer chat.
All right, I'm sharing it on.
Flutter without exposure to vast majority JavaScript-based tools best suits startup or small enterprise app. No, this is not true, I would say, as this question, because again, when we're talking about JavaScript, okay, so basically JavaScript will help you to build web applications. Basically, majority web applications having this Node.js coming into the back end, like you can build desktop applications as well, which is true. But as Amita has already highlighted, the Sky engine, that is the backbone of Flutter, it can render anywhere. The rendering capabilities of this Flutter is more capable compared to web application, right? It has over all the capabilities that any web application can have, and especially more inclined towards, I would say, the mobile applications and desktop mobile applications, to be very precise, well proven on this Android and iOS, close to native performance and close to native features compared to building your mobile applications with JavaScript frameworks like Ionic, or you can build with PhoneGap or Cordova. You can build mobile apps with any so-called JavaScript frameworks, but Flutter mobile apps beats off in performance and the look and feel and native features, beats all this Cordova, Ionic, etc. So whatever your understanding is wrong. JavaScript based tools is not like it's not only the option to build mobile applications or web applications. Flutter does a very good job. It has got a vast widget library, big community, which is, the widget library has improved a lot over the years. I mean, widget library or the capabilities that Flutter has got year and a half back, and now there's a lot of widgets, a good number of widgets. The enterprise widgets are also coming in, like data management related things are also increased. So in short, answer is no, it's not correct. Using Flutter, you can build the enterprise applications as large enterprise apps as well, let's say, to be clear. Large enterprise mobile applications as well.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. The second question that we have received is how Flutter for web can accommodate microservice architecture.
Good. I don't know how this question is relevant here. See, microservices, if you're talking about especially in microservices, not micro frontends, microservices architecture is about handling a deployment or managing the services on the backend, like the server-side programs. So, and Flutter is more of a front-end development framework. The Sky Engine is more of front-end development program, which can render your web, Android, mobile and desktop engine. So this is not relevant. But if you're confused with microservices and micro frontend, in anyways, micro frontend is not so valid concept in this mobile application development as such, because there's nothing called independent of it. Anyways, this code, mobile app code is modular. For web applications, to be honest, I mean, with Flutter mobile applications, micro frontend, we haven't tried yet, but a good thought. We can try that and see how it works well. But micro frontend with other frameworks, works very well. So I don't see there should not be any challenge with Flutter micro frontend frameworks. Micro frontend pattern. Microservices is not a right combination that we are talking about.
Okay, thank you, Fanny, for answering that. The third question that we have is, do Flutter UI widget fit into PWA development?
Flutter UI widget web, yes, it can. The web application that you are developing with Flutter, you can make a PWA application. Progressive web application.
That's okay. Thank you, Fanny. That's all. Thank you, both the speakers, for sharing your invaluable insights, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you found today's webinar informative. So before we conclude for the day, I'd like to mention that we have an exciting webinar scheduled on September 28th, where we will have an insightful discussion on LLMs and data visualization, enhancing product engineering insights. I'll be sending out invitations to all of you. Until next time, folks, thank you. Thank you once again for being a part of this webinar.
Thank you all. See you guys. Thanks for having this session.